So there is a chance that Mike Malone makes me look stupid for doing this video if MPJ's minutes drop once the Nuggets are healthy. But I have to assume at this point, given how well MPJ has played in the bubble, on top of the 5-month break that he had, that we could really be seeing Michael Porter Jr. going as close to 100% as we can expect at this point. I mean, in some ways, this is effectively his third season because he didn't play his first year. And then, of course, with the big break, that was the length of an off season. So maybe what we were supposed to be seeing in the typical year 3 from MPJ is happening right now. This is what I have to hope for, because this makes Denver way more exciting, and we can get into potential playoff matchups in a moment. But to talk about Michael Porter Jr., the 2 games, 37 the first game, 30 the second game, the minutes are huge. I mean, 44 minutes and then 36 in the most previous game. I mean, that is a massive difference from the 15 minutes a game he averaged in the regular season, and we didn't know if he was even going to play game to game, right? He basically didn't miss a shot. His chemistry with Jokic already looks really good. And he was doing some stuff off the dribble as well. Not too many ISOs, because that's not really Denver's thing. They're more about having the ball move around, or Jokic bringing it up floor and then creating something, whether it's a handoff play or Jokic getting a screen from somebody. And it seems like MPJ is already kind of fitting into that, which is good. But he was able to also bail them out of a couple possessions that weren't really going anywhere either. And that's just what we can expect from him. I mean, he's gained some comparisons to Kevin Durant for a reason. So we shouldn't be shocked to see it. We should just be shocked to see that he's actually getting the opportunity. And I really hope that this continues, because without MPJ, I feel like Denver's playoff chances still good. There's a chance Jokic would be the best player in a number of series, but this, for me, definitely puts them at a higher level, and I think, well, you have to agree with that. I mean, we've all been wanting to see this, and now we're seeing it. I guess the scary thing could be him on defense. Up to this point in these 2 games, it's looked okay. However, I think it's fair to fear if teams can go at him and have a lot of success with that. Is he going to be engaged on that side of the floor? Does he simply know how to play defense like that? I mean, let's see. As of right now, the Nuggets are projected to face Houston in round 1, and I would not be shocked to see Denver try some sort of trapping against the Rockets and force them to move the ball a little bit more and get the ball out of Harden and Westbrook's hands, and that requires guys moving and closing out, and well, that guy just went over to that dude, so now you've got to go over to this other guy. And a lot of it is kind of improv, just in the moment. I mean, you can have a scheme, but during the chaos, you just kind of have to know where to go. Something the Raptors are amazing at. Would MPJ be able to survive in that sort of an environment? I don't know. Now, from a physical standpoint, he's certainly equipped to be a good defensive player between the size and the wingspan, and he can move around the floor very well. I mean, we see that on the offensive end. So the potential's there, and I think Denver's done a pretty good job of maximizing their players defensively. I mean, if you look at their personnel, I don't know if it's possible for them to ever be one of the best defenses in the league, but last year they were 10th in defensive rating. This year they were 14th. I'd like to think that Mike Malone can find a way to just have MPJ not suck on that side of the floor pretty much. I mean, Jamal Murray's gotten better, Jokic has done a good job, Millsap's good, and Jeremy Grant's good, and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, if MPJ can just not kill them defensively and he can actually get the opportunity on offense, then that'll be big. But to talk about the opportunity a little bit more, what's going to happen to the rotation? I mean, looking at it, I would imagine you'd probably just have more guys playing in the 20s, like Will Barton's at 33 minutes a game, Gary Harris is at 32. You could probably drop both of those guys. But besides that, I will admit it does still get kind of tough, because you think the playoff rotation is Murray, Will Barton, Michael Porter Jr. I've inserted him into the starting lineup over Gary Harris apparently. Millsap, and then Jokic. Off the bench you're going Gary Harris, Monte Morris, Jeremy Grant. That's 8 guys, but that's 8 guys who expect to play a good chunk of minutes, and then you got Plumlee for backup center. You might try some like Millsap at center, small ball thing. Maybe, you don't know. It is a decent amount of guys, but I feel like it's manageable enough, and I didn't even mention Torrey Craig in that whole thing. So I don't know. I mean, somebody's going to have to lose some minutes. But if MPJ is going to be playing, not even like this, I mean, no one expects him to be putting up 30 a game in the playoffs consistently, but if he can just give them like 17 a game and be somebody the defense has to defend, then that's huge. Seriously. Like, even that alone, especially if he's going to bring it on defense or whatever his version of bringing it on defense is, then that could be the difference between Denver and Houston in round 1, or if they see Dallas, or if they run into, as of right now, they would get the Clippers in round 2, and I would still pick the Clippers to win that series, but you don't know. I mean, you're talking about a team in the Clippers whose chemistry has not looked awesome, and the Nuggets thrive off of their chemistry, so could be an interesting series. And I feel like that's the type of series where MPJ's potential scoring could really be huge, because the Clippers are, of course, super versatile defensively, and I mean, you're picturing Kawhi's defending. I don't totally know. Maybe he would defend MPJ, which maybe that just takes everything that I just said out of the equation. Maybe Paul George would be on him as well, because you're just talking about the size matchup. But even so, you'd imagine that MPJ would find ways to score off the ball. He could still get himself some open shots, whether it's in transition or the Nuggets' constant ball and player movement and forcing switches out of the Clippers and stuff. But that's a round 2 series, potentially. We're going to have to... We need some things to happen before that becomes a thing, so... Yeah, but it's exciting. We could finally be seeing Michael Porter Jr. really out there, really allowed to play his game. And again, I don't think he's going to be like a 20-something point scorer in the postseason this year, but 17 a game, something like that. Maybe a couple of big games. We should also expect a couple of games where he doesn't play that well, at least in my opinion. I mean, I don't want to put too much pressure on this dude right now. Like, there's guys on the Nuggets who have max contracts who we should be, expecting a lot from before MPJ, I feel like, given how early it is in his career. But even so, it's still fun. It's still fun to think what it could be this postseason with MPJ. And again, this is all assuming Michael Malone actually gives him the minutes. So who knows? But that's it.